Let's go.
That we shall. Everybody get your bets in for our first and only best of 5 qualifying match for the open qualifiers for the Oceania / rest of Asia region. The just final match of the open qualifiers overall. This is everything from here on out is nothing but close qualifiers. As we kick things off on Beckett Industries, things are about to get very explosive very quickly, as at the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Terran player coming down from the land of Brisbane, doing it for his fallen comrades. He is representing Team Opus V. He's Azure.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Beckett Industries LE, we have the Australian Zerg player. Oh my, going for a gas pool opening before hatchery. I love it. We have, also representing Opus V, it is Peppy.
I have to wonder how aware they are of each other's styles, especially in the TVZ matchup. Opus V, they do strike me as a clan that, as a team rather, that's fairly close. This whole story of that is, what was it? Not Pez, Peppy and Piglet, I want to say? No, not Piglet. Peppy and somebody else were working for the company Opus V and somehow convinced them to sponsor. Randomuk, that was the other one, yeah.
This is true. So yeah, it's a very interesting story how that team came about. That team formed by MJ over on Twitter. I'm sure he's somewhere out there cheering for his Opus V boys. It's a little bit unfortunate that it is a team kill and one must rise and one must fall, but I mean, that's how brutal this qualifier is, mate.
Oh yeah. As much as I do prefer having ANZ champs as is right now, does mean that for all the other players who don't quite make it through, do have a lot more cutthroat competition.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, mate, what's crazy to me is a couple of things are going on right now. Azure skipped his Reaper.
Again.
That's what's crazy to me. But even though Peppy went for a faster pool, he didn't send his links across the map to delay this natural base. If he did, because there's no Reaper, I feel like he probably would have gotten it, to be honest. But instead, he went for the fast pool to scout and just be safe.
Huh. The question, I guess, will be, what does he do with his gas aside from link speed? So continuing to mine.
Yeah, that he is, again, a very interesting opener from both players, right? Azure cutting some corners, you know, avoiding that Reaper, giving up on that scouting information, just relying on his SCV to scout. With that SCV, he did see that it was a pool first opening, by the way, so he was chilling, staying at home. And yeah, just yeah. I'm just joking. Mate, there we go. The gas was for a lair.
Very early on, he's starting to get his additional gases as well. Yeah, a spine crawler to be super safe. He's not making a roach warren, is he, like?
Let's go, mate. This is crazy. On Beckett, on one of the shortest rushes maps in the map pool, I feel like Peppy should die. I want him to die for the principle of the thing, mate. Like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
You don't get to do this and get away with it, Peppy. There are rules you have to adhere to as Zerg players.
Look, there are some unwritten rules out there, okay? And going two-base Muta is crazy enough, but like, you know, to do it on Beckett? Let's see. We have 3 gases so far. There it is, mate. Oh my god. Get him, Azure, get him!
I kind of want Peppy to unscrew another... to have another screw loose here, and instead of going for 2-base Muta, go for 2-base Corruptor.
I can't. I just can't right now, Yaku. I can't do it. I can't. He's lost his mind. It's gone, mate. It's out the window. It's melted. Nameless did it. Nameless. After that Clown Fiesta of a Game 2 on Jagged Nappa, he just roasted the brain. God.
And that was Nameless's plan all along.
Here we go. The Hellions are here. They poke in, they poke out. The Spine and the Queens are enough to deter them, mate. He sees no drones, by the way.
he sees no drones, he sees the spy crawler. Azure should be tipped off that something, that Peppy is building up to something, but he doesn't know whether or not it's a very quick spire or a very quick infestation pit.
Yeah, he's still in the dark. Like, it could be a Roach Warren as well. Like, he's got no idea. He can, like, try and, like, tick a couple of things off in his mind. There we go. A drop is going into the main base. Is he going to go in deep enough to scout the spire?
Should be able to just barely make it through. No, but he goes towards the legs! Doesn't quite get the scout that he needs, but he is just posturing defensively right now. Not going to be overly aggressive with his pushes. He just wants to make sure he knows what he's up against before before committing to a push.
And you know what? He's gotten away with it. The mutas are popping out. Like, it's too late now. They're gonna shut down this drop. Finally, they reveal themselves, and these Hellions and Marines. They're. I mean, he has to sacrifice them. He has to do whatever he can.
Just like so. Gets a drone here or there and does shave off the link count slightly. But now the shoe is definitely on the other foot. Peppy is absolutely overwhelming Azure in the army supply. Turrets are starting to get thrown down now.
Mate,
but are they going to get up in time? There are too many mutas for the time being.
The mutas are going to dive on top of the missile. It's not going to finish, mate. It's not done.
That it is not. Azure trying to hug that as best as he can, and it will finish up eventually. Missile turret has finished in the main base as well. Honestly, the supply of mutas isn't too overwhelming. It's definitely not enough for Peppy to try to stand and fight against these turrets, but it's more than enough for him to dive around the turrets and pick off SCVs, 11 of them total.
Mate, this is well worth it, right? The economic damage, not just that, the map control, right? Azure, the drop earlier got picked off. He can't send out any more drops across the map at risk of the mutas picking them off. The third base is still not landed, right? It's so difficult to expand from here because there are no missile turrets set up prematurely. Like, and more mutas are on the way, mate.
I can hear the disappointment in your voice right now. Yeah. Like, you're like, he should not be getting away with this. It's illegal.
Oh god. I mean, but he is, and he's done a damn good job at it. Behind this, 1-1 is on the way. There is no Bailey Nest, which is a little bit concerning to me. There we go. It is being thrown down now, but honestly, it is a little bit late. So Peppy is vulnerable to a 1-1 timing with all this bio.
Oh, he absolutely is, especially if Azure just goes pure Marine, a medevac. That's a very good way of your buffer becoming... When you go Lingbane Muta, right, you normally have the Zerglings to buffer for your Banelings. Not having Banelings is a really good way of just not having a buffer.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, going Lingbane Muta, it's difficult to do when you don't go Bane. It's just like straight up Ling Muta, like it will straight up die to this. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, there was a massive window here where Azure could have pushed out across the map. Problem is that he doesn't know how late this Bailey Nest is, and instead he's focusing on expanding and protecting his third. And as a result, like, Peppy, he's getting away with even more, mate.
He's getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
It's disgusting, Yakus. I'm a Zerg player and I'm disgusted, mate. Oh god.
But he is getting away with it, and Azure's definitely giving him a ton of time. He is working up to 2-2 though, and you know, if Azure is able to max out on Marine Tank Medevac with 2-2 upgrades, then they will trade insanely well against Lingbane Muta, assuming he gets the tanks in the proper positions.
Yeah, exactly. I'm waiting to see a switch into Widow Mines. Like, that would be amazing right now. We saw how well Azure used them against Crimson in their previous series, and that was when Crimson was relying on heavy just Lingbane into Ultra. But at the moment,
his Ultras died to the Widow Mines.
They did. At the moment, he's focusing on his tanks. It's understandable. Like, again, he's just working on that for now to establish his third base and get it up and running. But as a result, like, Azure, he's just been stuck on his side of the map for so long. He just hasn't been able to harass at all.
Yeah, he really has not. When you typically see an Azure game, or I guess a TVC game in general, you want to see these drops make it across the map so they can do damage or set up for the eventual push. But Azure, because of the amount of Mutalisks out, because of how active they're being, he does not feel safe loading up that many Marines into a medevac that cannot fight back against these Mutas.
Exactly. And as a result, Peppy now he's got his 4th up and running. It's fully saturated. He's working on his hive behind this as well. Could be working on his own ultras. Meanwhile, finally Azure, he pushes out. Oh, so much.
Fantastic surround. Even in a hot pickup, it forces the medevacs to be vulnerable to the Mutalisk. Very nice pick off here from Peppy.
Yeah. Exactly, and this is all that Peppy needs to do. He doesn't need to push into this sieged up defensive position. He could try, but I would advise against it regardless. Like, just containing Azure to these 3 bases is enough.
I hope he realizes that he doesn't have to push into this though, and he does. He backs away. Oh, I got really worried for a second that he was gonna lose his entire ground army to siege tanks.
I was worried too, mate. He does back up. Meanwhile, again, sure, there is a force here creating creep, but oh my god, the Mutas, they dive in, they get another medevac.
Yeah, thankfully it wasn't a medevac that had too many Marines there, so Azure still has, honestly, a very effective fighting force if Peppy engages into it, but he never has to.
He never does, mate. He never does. What I will say is that thankfully Azure, he's on top of his upgrades as well. 3-3 just now starting. Did get a second factory up and running. He is pumping out those Thors and Widowmines, switching into a beautiful anti-muta army. And I was curious to see if Peppy was going to go into ultras, but no, he's going for a greater spire.
Interesting. Brute Lords are going to be the choice here for Peppy, and honestly, Brute Lords are a very effective counter siege unit, or I guess a siege unit in general. They're really effective at countering the tanks in particular.
That they are. Again, they also avoid the SimCity, and Beckett is very choky as well, so you could argue it's difficult to make ultras work. Meanwhile, oh my god, the frames be dropping whenever we see the Mass Link Bane and the Marines collide.
Yeah, they're both maxed out. I cannot imagine how many frames get dropped if every single Baneling connects with every single Marine.
God, it's gonna happen. The surround is happening, mate. He's coming in.
And he is pretty far off creep, but honestly, the Ling Bane is absolutely overwhelming. The tanks were super exposed for way too long. The Banelings crash into all of these Marines. The Widowmines are unable to really get the connections they need to get. And this may just about be it. Peppy is not actually remaxing right now. There we go, 44 Zerglings. GG is called. Peppy gets away with it.
Wow, GG, well played. Peppy takes game 1. Not just game 1, not just with 2-base Muta, but he takes the game on Beckett Industries.
Mate, that's a massive weight off your shoulders already. I can see you shaking.
He did the impossible, mate. He did, and this is honestly the best start that Peppy could have hoped for. Beckett Industries considered to be one of the most like Terran favored maps in the map pool. Like to get that out of the way and to get that W, like that's like he's gonna be feeling like such a huge weight off his shoulders.
Absolutely. I mean, never has to worry about playing this map again. The next maps, depending on what the vetoes are, if they go on something like Jagannatha, I would say that it's definitely more of a Zerg favorite map. Peppy has less to worry about, and taking that game in the style that he did, that's just a massive confidence boost.
Definitely.
He can hang his head high. He's just exuding. Not sure if I can say that on the broadcast, but just
BDE,
exuding
mate.
confidence.
Yeah,
that BDE.
Jesus Christ, like, wow. And just like that, like, suddenly the momentum has swung in Peppy's favor. Obviously, Azure is a very strong player, and he can definitely come back from this situation, but oh boy, it's gonna be a tough one. I'm also really curious as well, we were talking about it earlier, what the hell were the vetoes? Like, what? Was it Blackburn? Was it Romanticide instead? Was that like that? That's
if we start and end the series. We start on Beckett and end on Blackburn.
That would be insane, mate. That would be crazy. Peppy has no fear, mate.
And that's why he's winning.
He has no fears in a lot of ways, right? He let Beckett through and he went 2-base Muta on it. Like what? That's madman. Madman.
Nameless just removed that portion of his brain that's responsible for feeling fear.
Oh my god. That's the only explanation, mate. That's the only. And with that, we are diving into game number 2. I love it. Chasing the chat. Zerg winning on Beckett past 2 bases. Poggers, mate. Poggers.
Mate.
We can see through as well.
He was right on a lot of things. Alrighty then, as we continue our series here on 2000 Atmospheres LE. Hip hip. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have a blue Terran player coming out from the land of Brisbane. I would say was probably the favorite in this bracket, but now looking very, very shaky against his teammate. Representing Team Opus V, we have Azure.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the Australian Zerg player. He is green, also representing Opus V, and up 1-0 in this best of 5 qualifying match. It is Peppy.
Oh, Sardak in the chat. It's like, please don't make us admit that Mio was right.
Blasphemy, blasphemy.
Favorite map.
Oh my god. This is just it's crazy, mate. Alright. Here we go. This time a more standard opening from Peppy, which makes sense. You know, we are on a more standard map.
Yeah, that we are. So we'll be utilizing that Reaper for a lot of scouting, a lot of map control as well. Cannot get away with skipping out on safety units. And again, he got away with skipping out on safety units on Beckett. So who knows?
Who knows, mate? It's just throw it all out the window. It's gone. It's done. It's oh god, I don't know how I'm going to be able to gather myself after this for the Taiwan close qualifier, mate. Like, I don't know, mate. I know I'm going to do it. It's
mate, it's not just going to be the Taiwan close qualifiers. Let's just remember the players who we're going to be casting, the likes of B-Stork, Expect. Well, then again, Expect, I suppose, isn't the maddest of players, but Lemon, Nazin.
It's
very unconventional players, and of course the granddaddy of them all, Gogo Joey.
Yeah. Again, after this qualifier, we are going straight into the Taiwan Hong Kong qualifiers. People in the chat, if you so wish, I recommend sticking around for it, especially because both myself and Yaku, our brains are slowly leaking out of our ears as the day progresses. Like, it's too much. I can't take it anymore. I can't do it.
You were at it for a lot longer than I have. I'm impressed you were able to hold it together.
I had a 1 hour nap.
Life hacks.
I wanted it to be 3 hours, but it was 1 hour. Feels bad, man.
Yeah, 1 is unfortunately less than 3.
It is.
And by that I don't mean hard. I mean, you know, it's just fewer than 3.
All right.
Roach Warren coming out from Peppy pretty early on.
There's a Roach Warren on the way. It is very early. Meanwhile, the Reaper does sneak into the main base. Does he see? Will he get down into natural? Looks like he will. Oh. No.
Reaper will stay alive, maneuvering outside of the creep. Does not see the Roach Warren, though.
Mate, he doesn't see the Roach Warren, and when it comes to Azure and Roaches, mate, they're not a good combination. He doesn't like, he hates it. Oh my god. So this is scary. 9 Roaches are on the way. What do we have to defend? Mate, I'm getting some Crimson deja vu. Mate, this is how Crimson won his game.
How are we gonna see that Nidus once again? He's skipping out on the lair. At 2000 Atmospheres, it is a good map to just go to just run your roaches across.
Yeah, the problem is that like Azure, he doesn't have a bunker. He barely has any Marines. He is working on a potential BC eventually, but that's going to be so late.
Thankfully, Azure is able to scout the roaches before they really hit the bases. How does he switch things up? Should be seeing a swap on this factory. Okay, thankfully he's getting the Banshees. Whew.
Yeah, immediately he starts a Banshee. That is key here in the defense. Meanwhile, Azure completely evacuated his natural base. He knows that he cannot hold the natural. He has to try and hold the main. Throws down 2 bunkers immediately, and in come the Roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, not too many Ravagers for now, so not really going to be able to siege up this Rav Overlord. Not quite in position to provide high ground vision either, but the Roaches are. They bust through the reactor, and a lot of SCVs are ripe for the picking as they try to repair.
Oh, that they are, but oh my god, the whole position is pretty good here. Azure, it looks like he is going to be able to hold.
Ooh, only losing 8 workers. Not ideal, but not the end of the game either for our Blue Terror player.
That was honestly really good. That was amazing. Like, that choke point was beautiful. There was so much splash damage because of the sheer amount of Hellions here. Again, thankfully, Azure, he knew how to hold against this. He knew it was all about that main. And with this, mate, he can follow it up with a BC.
He absolutely can. The Fusion Core is still alive, and he is looking to do so. Multi-pronged with the Banshee and the BC. That is really going to tax the mobility of Queens.
Exactly. I also want to like praise Azure even more because he just salvaged these 2 bunkers. Mate, he didn't even need the bunkers. Like, they didn't even come into play there. Like, oh my god, that was just so well done by Azure. And meanwhile, across the map, Peppy, even though he saw the tech lab on the starport, there's no spores. Mate, there's no spores. There's barely any Queens.
There's no spores.
Oh no.
Oh
no.
Oh no, there's no spores.
So this BC is going to go uncontested. 3 Queens, especially when they're spread out like this, is not going to be enough here. Meanwhile, oh my god, the Hellions actually catch these reinforcing links. That is huge.
Such a good volley as well. Ooh, these Blighty ones are looking mighty vulnerable, and the Lynx are able to break through. The BC is going to be enough to defend against them, but how much damage is Peppy going to deal before that? He is breaking in, doesn't even bother about the natural mineral line.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually, all this will be cleaned up, but how many workers is Azure going to lose? Because Peppy, he's just making nothing but Zerglings right now.
Well, that's one way to counter BCs. Hellions, fortunately, not in position at all to deal with the Lings.
I mean, these Hellions will clean up the Lings that are in the main base, but the problem is that the Lings are still continuing to flood across the map and hit the natural base.
That they are. The economy is getting completely crippled here for Azure. He still has a bit of a better army. I mean, there's no answer to BCs right now as Peppy scrambles to produce Queens out of his hatcheries.
He is. Thankfully, it looks like he will have a couple more to defend, but this Queen here at the 3rd is going to go down, and the 3rd itself may even fall as well. Okay, now there are enough Queens to push away this BC. Ooh.
Was it Biles that dealt damage against the BCs? Because, yeah, this BC is already lower in health than it really should be, teleporting across the map like that.
A couple of Biles did connect with the BC across the map, so that was very nice forethought there by Peppy. Able to soften it up.
Yeah, unable to really kill it, but able to get it low enough that Azure doesn't want to risk overstaying his welcome.
Yeah, and now we're in a really weird position because Azure, he's on 2 bases compared to the 3 of Peppy, but the worker count is relatively even. We have mules for Azure. Azure actually has the 3rd CC, so I would say he's ahead right now when it comes to that. And 1-1 just finished up.
That it did. These Marines are going to be even deadlier than they typically are, but does Azure have what he needs to move across the map, though? A lot of bio was sent out earlier on in that push. He doesn't have the medevacs out yet. He doesn't have the tanks out. He could move in with his BC and maybe try to draw fire from the Queens away with that, but despite being ahead on the army, he doesn't quite have enough to really break Peppy yet.
I would say that he probably does, to be honest. Like Peppy, he's been droning up for the past minute or so. Like he's been hard droning as much as possible. He has a couple of Roaches, but again, Roaches aren't that great at the moment. The only upgrade he has is Ling speed. Azure, like I feel like he's just powering up right now, getting ready to go across the map. And when he does, like, oh my god, it's gonna be insane.
And it will. If Azure can take out even more drones here, he's really gonna force Peppy to not make any units. So Laird's about to finish up though, and I'm hoping. Yep, there we go. Galaudu Constitution is being researched. Peppy not getting too greedy in his tech. I do wish he makes more roaches. So there we go.
Yeah. I think Peppy is finished droning up now. He has been able to drone up as much as possible on 3 bases, and now he can start working on his army. So he will have something for the defense. Will it be enough though? Because again, he's just relying on roaches to begin with. Doesn't have a baiting nest or anything like that to help deal with the pyre.
That he does not, and it's a very formidable marine count right now against the amount of roaches Peppy has. Tank count isn't out of this world yet, but it's still something that Peppy needs to respect when he's going pure roach like this.
It really is. It really is. Meanwhile, this BC is continuing to harass. It is still alive, getting a couple of overlords here and there, distracting the queens. Meanwhile, finally, Azure is pushing out with a bunch of his pyre. I don't think this is necessarily enough to end the game, but if he's able to avoid these roaches, then he can definitely take out a mineral line.
Yeah, it's not enough to kill Peppy, but it's enough to cripple him. As the game moves forward, Peppy's roaches are in the middle of the map. The creep spread towards the eastern side of this map isn't quite enough to give him the vision. Very quick on the pull though with drones. Peppy shouldn't be losing too much here, but in the main... Okay, there.
There are queens. Ooh, nice focus fire. He does get the medevac. Could even maybe get the second, but now the Marines, they go ham on those queens.
And they do target down the high energy ones, taking every single one of them out. The roaches get the concave and clear out the Marines, but at what cost? The queens are gone. They cannot inject, they cannot transfuse, they cannot help against this BC.
Exactly, that's what I'm worried about, because every single queen went down. Oh my god, the spore was enough to force the BC to come back home, but that was getting scary, mate.
It really was.
Oof.
Look at him repairs. He wants to make sure that he gets all his money's worth building that BC. Peppy's trying to go for a counter attack now, but I'm not convinced.
Yeah, I'm not either. I mean, there are a lot of Ravagers here, but they can't get close enough to bile the tanks. Instead, the tanks do get their shots off. What's scary? Mate, there's still a BC and that Banshee from the beginning of the game to just push us away and just perpetually deal damage to this army.
Like so.
Yeah. Oof.
So what happens when you lack anti-air. Peppy now trying to go for Aspire, but I feel like he needed Aspire many minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully it's almost done, so he can switch into those mutas or corruptors, whatever he decides to go for. I imagine probably mutas, because again, like, there is only one BC. Like, you don't want to invest too much into corruptors.
Yeah, not unless you're planning to go for Great Aspire immediately after.
Exactly, and now... Yeah, now we see some multi-pronged attack. We have the BC hitting the right-hand side of the map. The bio is pushing on forward. Ooh, that base is looking kind of low.
That base is looking dead! Even with the transfuse. Cannot keep up with the DPS of stimmed Marines. I think 2-2 finished up. Yep, 2-2 finished up for Azure as well, so... Peppy's units and buildings are basically just melting to the bio.
Yeah, exactly. Even the BC just going ham on these queens. It looks like one of the queens will fall. Oh my god, are we gonna see a teleport? Up!
Does get taken out just before it could TP out. Have a short moment of silence for one of the most valuable BCs in TPC history.
Yeah, he got so much value with that BC. He even forced those corruptors that we saw come out at that last moment. But meanwhile, here comes the 2-2 Marines. And I'm not convinced by what Peppy has. We'll see. I mean, maybe he can get the perfect engagement, the perfect concave here on this army. Maybe even land some biles on those tanks.
Yeah, it will be rough pushing up this ramp, especially with the corrosive vials. That's a lot of tanks though, and they are fairly well spread out.
Bailing's on the way.
Are they gonna be on time? They don't have Bailing speed. He doesn't have Bailing speed line. It's gonna be so tough to connect on the Marines when it is only Marines, but they are only Marines. That's all you need.
Exactly. It's only Marines, but mate, it's only Marines. And there we go. The Baileys get focused down. Not a single one connects. The tanks, they're looking pretty. They're looking fine. They are just leapfrogging forward here. And Peppy, he's really struggling to hold on. I mean, he does stem the tide forward now, but the tanks, they edge ever closer.
The friendly fire from the tanks dealt more damage than the Bailings did to the bio. But speed is close to finishing up. Oh, bit of an anti-timing there, though. Bailings do get sniped by the Marines. 2-2 Marines versus 1-1 Roach Ravager. Without speed on the Bailings. Yeah, it's pretty safe to say who wins that engagement. Peppy is thinking ahead. He's getting his hive, but I feel like he is thinking so far ahead, he doesn't see what's in front of him.
That's pretty much what's happening, mate, because here comes the reinforcements for Azure. Like, Peppy did a really good job at holding on, but that was just wave 1. Here comes wave 2. And sure, Bailing's speed just finished, but you know what? There are no Bailings. It's just Lings and Roaches and Ravagers, mate.
Little bit of an anti-timing here for our Green Zerg player. As Azure, he holds his line. He has a really good foothold to reinforce from.
That he does. He is giving Peppy enough time to get those Bailings for them do morph in. The tank does get piled down, but one of the hatcheries will fall. Thankfully, Peppy has another hatchery to just rally or Maynard his drones over, but the hatchery does go down.
It does. And with it, a whole lot of production potential for Peppy. Trying to go for a counter run by of his own. But he's still 1-2 Lings. GG's called, and Azure ties up that series sideways 1-1. This is what we wanted from our Azure versus Peppy match. This is that little bit of back and forth in that game.
Yeah, GG. Well played, Azure. I mean, Peppy, he did try to go for that incredibly aggressive start of that game, that opener with those roaches, but that was designed to kill his opponents. And we were, again, praising Azure with how well he defended the initial wave. The second wave, Azure did struggle a little bit more. SCVs were going down, but mate, he had 3 CCs. Like, it didn't even matter to me.
He really did, yeah. 3 CCs, mules, doesn't take much to recoup the losses. I'll say that Peppy's transition was all right. I think his transition to Spire and Hive could have maybe happened a little bit sooner, but for the most part, he had the right idea with his roaches and whatnot. The decision to push across the map a second time with that Roach Ravager, and a little bit trigger happy as well in trying to defend with Banelings without speed, was the final couple of nails in the Peppy coffin.
Yeah,
he finally gets punished for the Becca game.
I guess so. Oh god, but we are tied up 1-1 here. This still could go either way. That game 2 though, that really did kind of redeem Azure in all of our eyes, right? Like, that's the Azure that we expect to see. This solid wall of a Terran player, a macro Terran who just doesn't stop. That was very well done there.
That was the man with harpoon that is Azure.
There you go, the shark hunter, mate.
One day we'll have Azure be the OCE Rest of Asia champion, and Bisok be the Taiwan Hong Kong champion, and see them rematch. DreamHack. But that day is still far to come, as spawning in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner of Oxide, but also sending plenty of SCVs to the other side of the map here. We have our blue Terran player coming down from the land of Brisbane. He's going to be representing Team Opus V. He is the Prince of Province, Azure. Hi.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Oxide LE, we have the Australian Zerg player. He is red, representing Team Opus V. And going for that hatch first, while getting proxied, it is Peppy.
Hell yeah! He's laying gas for so long. This is pure Marines and bunkers coming out from Azure. And Peppy, not in position to scout.
He doesn't scout, but he does have his overlord over his natural base. So when an SCV shows up to throw down that bunker, he will be able to respond. Not the like longest, not the fastest response. He's gonna be caught a little bit unawares, but he will have some time to do so. So we'll see how good the reaction time is here from Peppy.
Yeah, at the very least, he'll be able to attack the SCV that's building the bunker with his drones or his Zerglings, instead of getting completely caught unawares.
Exactly, and here we go. The SCV does reveal itself here to Peppy. The bunker should start. Oh, there we go. Now Peppy knows.
And now he pulls the boys. Only a single Marine, that's not going to be enough to deal with the drone, says Azure. Kind of gives up on the bunker spot. He does still want to let it go up. Cancels right at the last second. Super important, so he gets his refund. One of these SCVs should go down. Oh, a good mineral walking from sight of Azure.
Yeah, some very fancy micro there from Azure, keeping that SCV alive. The Marine count is getting higher and higher, but the spine is on the way, mate.
Spine is on the way, and the Zerglings have been enough to isolate the Marines from the bunker. The bunker does not even get to go up. And Azure very quickly running out of steam with this proxy.
Oh yeah, without a single bunker and with a spine up and running for Peppy, like Peppy, man, he's fine.
Finer than sweet, sweet wine.
Jesus, and with this, like, not gonna lie, it was kind of a lackluster proxy. Like, I mean, Peppy, he didn't even scout it, and he was able to respond beautifully. Shout out to Peppy, by the way, right? Like, for making that defense happen, for denying those bunkers and zoning out those Marines. And now Azure is forced to transition. You know, throws down his CC, throws down his factory.
Yeah, he will be able to survive into the next phase of the game, but you shouldn't have to if you're going for a proxy like this. Joe's definitely hoping to get a lot more damage done.
Definitely. I mean, right now he's forcing a lot of lost mining time. This is a really nice position for these Marines behind the minerals, just because there's so much terrain to work with to minimize that surface area from the Lings. Meanwhile, the Lings are just getting ready to dive in. Ling Speed is about to finish up in a couple of seconds, but he dives in anyway.
Oh, very good SimCity being used right now for Azure. He might actually be able to take out the hatchery.
Oh my god.
How crazy would that be?
I mean, a queen is coming down. These Marines are so low. The queen itself, it should be able to take out these Marines. 3 go down. Oh, only 3 left.
Yeah, sure. Try to sort of step as best he can, but the map isn't quite on his side. So Lings and Queens are able to take out the Marines, but that's a very low hatchery. That was a decent amount of drone kills. The Hellions are looking to come back for round 2.
Yeah, that they are. But again, at least Azure was able to accomplish something with his Marines, right? Like, a lot of lost mining time. He killed the Queen as well. He got the hatchery low. I don't think we're going to see a world where this hatchery does die as a result, but I guess the possibility is there at some point.
Yeah, I think we should see a world where the hatchery goes down, though.
It's possible.
Assuming Azure is able to make it that deep into the other side of the map.
Meanwhile, we'll see. I mean, he does have a lot of map control with these Hellions. He's going to get an eye on this 3rd base. But yeah, so far I feel like he's done a pretty decent job at catching up in terms of the workers. I'm just waiting to see when and where he decides to throw down his 3rd CC. And he actually picks up and goes straight into the main.
Peppy already on it, though, with the map vision.
Yeah, the Queens are coming.
Position a couple of Queens.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's no creep connecting the main base, and that's, oh my god, the boys have pulled off the line. Oh my god.
What? Pulled off the line to fight these Hellions. Thankfully, not too many drones have gone down for Peppy. Sure, we'll be able to make it out of there, but with only 2 Hellions left, all he can really do right now is clear up creep.
Exactly.
Maybe act as a bit of a distraction.
That was a beautiful job there, especially because of how greedy Peppy was. Like, he didn't have any Lings to defend. He was only relying on Queens. That's why he had to pull some of those drones. But Peppy was just able to defend there.
Indeed, he was. As both players are just setting up for the next stage of the game, Azure does want to go For a bit of a timing push, he's actually getting double liberators right now. He wants his game to end.
I saw that as well. I was like, oh my god. So surprising. So yeah, he's looking to be incredibly aggressive here with his liberators. He's still getting a third CC behind this, but again, there's a lot of harassment potential available here for Azure.
Yeah, harassment potential, or even if he just wants to actually use the liberators as part of his fight, will give him some space to keep his tanks alive. Does he have an armory just yet? I don't believe he does.
He does not. Instead, these are just vanilla Marines and Hellions pushing out across the map. Stim is done for these Marines, and Azure did not forget combat shields this time.
Ooh, you'll love to see it. Medevacs are still here to support the Marines as they stim on forward. He's making absolute great use of his liberators right now, zoning out the army, making sure that the tank cannot get surrounded.
Exactly. Meanwhile, you do have the spores pushing on forward. There we go. The second liberator finally does show up as well. Get a very entrenched position here for Azure, but Peppy's going to try and break it.
And it's not quite working out for him. The Hellions kite beautifully.
Oof.
A lot of the Marines have been thinned out, but it's nothing to buffer for the Queens anymore. Azure wants to leapfrog, but he has to be very careful in doing so. Unsieging either the Liberator or the tank is going to give Peppy such an opportunity to pounce on something, anything.
Yeah, and Azure, he doesn't have much left here. Like, that was a really nice push. I think he traded incredibly well. He forced a response out of Peppy, but I feel like the time for this has come and gone unless he reinforces.
Which he does.
Oh boy, everything is coming across the map here for Azure. A lot of this creep is being cleared up as well, so it's going to be even more difficult for Peppy to engage, but he comes in.
Yeah, it goes for a surround, and this would have been devastating if not for the reinforcements coming in right now for Azure. The Bailiffs are trying to connect the bio, they don't quite get it. The tanks will go down, but what is there left to keep these Queens alive other than transfuse? Man with gun. All you need.
All you need, mate. The Lings are going down. The Queens are going down as well. This Liberator putting in a lot of work, a lot of DPS, but Peppy is just barely able to hold on.
Yeah, the last desperate line of defense does keep Peppy alive as the drones get out, but again, a very, very efficient trade for the side of Azure. Sure, not too much economic damage has been dealt, but behind all of this, he was producing SCVs, he was getting his mules, he killed a ton of Queens. He's just working on his round 2 push.
Exactly. And like, this area is looking so vulnerable because of the lack of creep, because of how aggressive he was there. Meanwhile, the creep is being spread towards the other edges of the map, but Azure is here to stop that from happening.
Even pouncing on top of these banelings as they morph in forces so many cancels.
Yeah. Very nicely done. Only a handful of banelings are going to remain here. Meanwhile, Azure, he does get an eye on the 4th base. Will be forced to pick up. I don't believe he has seen the Spire yet, which is a little bit concerning. Oh.
Might do whatever damage he really can here. I do agree that he should maybe throw down a scan or send the drops into the main.
Yeah, at the moment he's not really anticipating it. He is throwing down a sensor tower, which will help once the mutants do show up, but at the moment his mineral lines are looking quite vulnerable here.
More vulnerable than anything. Really sending the Marines forward. Eventually he's going to switch into Widow Mines, I feel, after seeing this much Ling Bane out in the map, but yeah, having Widow Mines across the map also means that there's even less defense on the mineral lines. That's a pretty quick infestation pit.
It is. It's very fast. He's going to be working on his hive. What exactly he wants to produce from that, we'll see. I mean, we did see in the previous game that he opted to go for Brood Lords instead of those Ultras.
See if he changes tune here once he sees just how many Marines there are on the map. And how few Marauders.
Oh, okay. Does scan the main base. Does spot that macro hatchery as well as the infestation pit. Sure, he's going to drop in, but he shouldn't do too much damage. What's important is that that Spire was in the natural, not in the main.
Yeah, we'll see if Azure has a bit of an inkling of what's to come, or if he does just assume that Peppy is going straight Lingbane into Hive.
Which is totally possible, but
it kind of is, but...
He is. And the mutas, they do show themselves off to this job, unfortunately, a little bit prematurely, right? Like, one muta, that was it. Like, didn't even get any of the medevacs. Now Azure, he's forced to fight. Oh my god.
Forced, quote unquote, as he's more than willing to take a fight with that SimCity and completely shave off half the Lings.
Yeah.
Now that's a position he doesn't want to fight.
He finally does back off.
Yeah.
Again, now he has all the information he needs. We should see some misstarts running down soon. Thankfully for him, the muta count honestly hasn't gotten too large yet. Only 4 mutas out on the map.
That's not even a problem, mutalist.
Yeah.
Going to, the vernacular.
Peppy's just giving up on it. He's like, forget about the mutas, mate. I want my hive.
Bring me ultras. Azure's maxed out.
He is maxed out. We do see the pre-siege of the tanks. The Link Bane is coming in, but he's off creep.
He is pretty far off creep, and Azure is very quick to pull away and split. The Balings have been dealt with, and what is there to deal with the bio and the tanks left? Nothing. You gotta pull the trigger, Azure.
Oh my god. The mutas are across the map, but they run into Marines. They do nothing. Meanwhile, there is that Ultra Cavern that you were talking about, but I think it's a little bit too late here. In comes the bio of Azure. Would you have a lot of Balings being morphed in, though, and Azure did give Peppy some time.
Yeah, what if he was distracted back home because of the mutalist, or if he just didn't want to overextend, not knowing the extent of Azure's army on creep. He has given Peppy enough time to recover to get a complete surround like this, but just doesn't have enough Banelings or Lings to take out either Marines or tanks. Does clear out a lot of them, but the reinforcements are already on their way.
That was so close, to be honest. Like, Peppy almost had enough. I thought he would have enough, but as you were saying, here come the reinforcements, and this is a much superior army with Widow Mines and Thors.
That it is trading just about evenly, though. Does make Azure, does give cause for Azure to be a little bit patient as well, though. Doesn't want to overextend too much over here, but now he finally realizes there is a bit of an opportunity. The tanks are set up in such a good position with Widow Mines to back them up if need be. He can try to bait the Lingbane into tank fire.
Yeah, that's
which he's trying to do.
He is, but you know what? The ultras are coming out. We do even have that token swarm host coming out. Feels bad, man. It happens so often as a Zerg player, but yeah, these ultras, unfortunately, they don't have kindness plating.
That they do not. Just cutting through them like butter right now. Thankfully, the Banelings are enough, though, to chase the rest of the bio away.
Like, but this is Azure.
For now, yeah.
like
for
again,
now, it's enough.
Yeah, the rally just doesn't stop. Like, he's relentless. Oh my god, the Widow Mines get the juiciest connections.
Immediately, those mutalists were taken out of the map. I do like that the Locusts are actually drawing fire away from the Widow Mines, kind of wasting their charges a little bit, but there's plenty more where that came from.
I do like that the Swarm Host did do something, right? Like, he killed the tank as well. Like, that, mate, that's impressive. Usually those token Swarm Hosts don't do anything. So nicely done by Peppy, using whatever he can to hold on. Massive Ling run by, actually. Oh my god.
He's really chasing Azure away. He knows how precarious his economic position is, so if he doesn't hold that base, he's basically going to be forced all in. A lot of Widow Mines get taken out before they can pop their shots, but even more pop their shots and kill Ultralisks.
Yeah, I will say though that I think that was the best case scenario for Peppy, because one, he pulled away the army, two, the Widow Mines were all left exposed. Like, he cleaned up a lot of them.
And three,
the Lings survived?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Going in for round two. If they can distract Azure once again, Peppy is going to buy himself so much time to set up a bit of a flank and collapse on top of Azure's entire army, but just making sure that doesn't happen just yet. Ooh, so vulnerable.
Exactly. Meanwhile, those Lings, they come back in. They do force a lift up on the third base. Meanwhile, the blinding clouds on the entire army.
Very good connect. I actually don't know if those were connections or not. I just saw a lot of Banelings die. Those are some very juicy connection, so
Exactly.
that we can confirm.
Exactly. The splits were not there. I thought like Azure came out on top, but that ending Baneling connection was beautiful for Peppy. Once again, he's just barely holding on. He just decimated the mineral line here at the third base. Like suddenly earlier, like Azure was so far ahead with his army supply, but Peppy's closed the gap.
He really has. Azure is pretty far ahead in the army supply still, but keep in mind, he has 13 medevacs. This is a very deceptive number.
Exactly. That's a lot of medevacs. That's too many medevacs. Oof. Oh boy.
Honestly speaking, get rid of half of the medevacs, and I believe they should be even on the army supply.
Oh boy, so Azure, he was really struggling to close this out, and now Peppy, mate, he's got 3-3, he's got kindness plating, he's got like ultra speed as well. What he is lacking is creep spread, so he does struggle to take fights outside of like defensive positions, but like he's kind of restabilizing, kind of.
Yeah, he's kind of only fighting in defensive positions for the time being, aside from Ling Rumbais that are making it across the map. Ooh. Decent yoink, but it's a bit of a waste of energy. Yeah.
There's very limited anti-air here. He's just buying some time for the Corruptors to come out. He does have 4 in production. Oh, Liberator is still dealing more damage though, being as annoying as possible. Oh boy, and now we're kind of where both players have decided to back off. Like, they're so battered, they're so bruised. They had like this intense like 15-minute fight, and now they're both like, oh my god, we need a moment to breathe.
As to the viewers, I'm sure with just how much action we're seeing. Almost gets the queen, but not quite. Peppy moving to the next phase. Ooh. At least it was only Lings.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Very juicy connection. Peppy meanwhile is working on the next phase of his game plan. Greater Spire gets thrown down.
That it does. At the same time, this drop does get found out by Peppy, forced to be lifted up. With that Greater Spire on the way, yo, Broodlords would got them, mate. That's going to change everything.
Really is. Thankfully, Azure doesn't have too many tanks left. So it's not just going to be losing a war of attrition, but it's still going to be a very tough unit composition to fight.
Ooh.
As the Bioterran player. Ooh.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful yoink. Meanwhile, we do have another drop here on the left-hand side of the map. Thankfully, this time, Peppy is completely out of position, and Azure will finally deal some economic damage.
And he will. A lot of lost mining time. And the hatchery does go down in the end. The drop will get cleaned out, but that was one of the first big victories for Azure
in a while. Game. Yeah, like he was trying so much to make these drops work, and then he was so desperately trying to find some damage somewhere. Finally, he finds a crack in the defense of Peppy.
And the defense here as the Broodlords are so exposed, immediately get popped by the Marines. Widow Mines are connecting with a decent amount of Lings. Peppy fighting very far off creep. Majority of the Banelings get taken out. It's only one Ultralist remaining on the ground. Kindness plating is keeping it alive for a very long time, but eventually it has to fall, and so will Peppy.
Yeah, Peppy, he did a really good job at holding on for as long as he did, and he almost brought it back, but in the end, Azure, he was just relentless, and he does take game number 3.
I felt a lot longer than 20 minutes, I gotta tell you.
Jesus Christ.
So much action happening everywhere. The most back and forth game we've had yet in this best of 5. We need a couple more of that. Well, I say that, but I don't know if my heart can take it, and I don't know if Hong Kong and Taiwan will wait for us.
We have plenty of time. Taiwan Hong Kong starts, I believe, in 1 hour. 1 hour. So, yes. Do not fret about that.
On the dot either.
It's. We'll see.
True, actually, because that was a close qualifier. Yeah. There's no need to check players and what have you. Yeah.
I should probably open that up and see if we because we can pre-select what match we want to cast. Actually,
They do set up the bracket beforehand, so it gives us a little bit of time.
I'm also starving. I was hoping to eat before.
I am very quickly running out of water, yeah.
God. Okay. I mean, we could, we'll figure it out. It's all good. It's all good.
Yes.
Oh, I know what we're going to get into. I see it. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Is it a Hong Kong derby?
It is. Every time. Every season, mate. Every season.
Every season we have to remake at least one map for race check.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, oh boy. Meanwhile, we are gonna remake. She was like, GG, I win.
Yeah. And the final qualified player. No, not quite yet. It's a sign, Peppy, if lobbies keep switching you to turn. Dark plays Zerg, what are you talking about, mate?
True.
Switching to the
there we go, there it is.
Oh, I'm glad you picked up on it, sure.
Awful. Alright, here we go. We're diving into game number 3, this time with the correct races.
That it is. As we continue our series here on Lightshade LE, we're in the top left-hand corner map, starting all the way to the top left-hand corner. We have the blue Terran player coming out from the land of Brisbane. He is on match point right now. He only needs uno momento por favor in order to be the final qualified player in the DreamHack Masters Oceania / rest of Asia close qualifier. He is representing Team OpenSV. He is Azure.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE. But before we get into this, everyone exclamation mark Funada Pig Jr. in the chat, aka Piglets. Of course, a player who did sign up but did not check into today's tournament. Shaking my head. It could have been you, mate. It could have been you. We have the Australian Zerg player representing Team OpenSV. It is Peppy.
I was gonna go into a whole like, yes, which player is favorite and whatnot, but at this point,
we know, right?
We know,
right?
yeah, we know. Yeah. We're just not gonna reveal who it is.
It's Peppy.
Suspense,
obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh god, no, but Azure, he is a monster. But we gotta give some respect to Peppy because he fought hard this series, not just this series, but last game as well, right? Like that was insane. Like he almost brought himself back into it, with like his trades that he was doing. I was so impressed by how Peppy played that out.
Yeah, sure had a lot of momentum behind his pushes, but Peppy had just enough inertia to delay Azure in the victory.
Exactly. Aye. And we'll see how this plays out. Again, it happened so long ago, but last game, Azure, was that the game that Azure proxied?
I believe that was 2,000 atmospheres. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe.
Maybe. Unless...
No,
2,000 atmospheres was also the game where Peppy went for the road rush, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was the game that Azure proxied? Was it the last game?
That was last game. That was last game. Yeah.
That was how much was going on. That was how much was going on in that 20-minute TVZ.
Oh my god, this is what I was saying, mate. Our brains, they're expiring, mate. Oh god. Help. Help. Aye. Alright. Here we go. We are just setting up to get into the next game here. And, oh my god, he's doing that! Third CC. Here we go.
Yeah, we have it. This is... Is this what Sinner Deadlight? Because this is not 2-1-1 yet.
Yeah.
But it's still 2 racks before CC.
It is a third CC before. No, true. This is what Sinner did. What? Oh my god. Yeah.
You
didn't even watch it. You knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Interesting way to get to 2-on-1 though. So he's still working on stim. He is still going to be getting 2 medevacs out with 16 Marines. At least that should be the game plan here, but not the typical way you go into it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my god, this is so. Again, he's cutting a lot of corners, and again, regarding to the Latin American qualifier, when Sinner did this, he was up against a virtual and he just died. But oh my god, the Lings do get in here, and actually they're getting a lot of worker kills. Oh my god, a lot of fighting time. A
lot of fighting time, and Mule went down in between all of that. Imagine that Mule was mining.
Just imagine, mate.
No add-on swap just yet.
There
Armory!
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. I was focusing on that SCV. I was like, give it to us. I know you want it. We have a Marine Hellbat push on the way, mate.
I'm throwing out my entire understanding of build orders. Like,
let's go. All right,
but,
so this, okay, go ahead, mate.
Yeah, this honestly looks like it could be absolutely devastating for what Peppy has right now. He's working on Ling Bane. In fact, right now he only has Lings to work with. Peppy is Azure rather is already shaving off as many Lings as he can with his Hellions before he turns these into Hellbats, before the main force hits. There's gonna be stim, so Azure can micro a little bit better. Just in case the Banelings do come into play, he can also just deal a ton more damage, and otherwise...
I'm scared because Peppy, he doesn't see this coming, and he doesn't have Banelings ready. He has a Baneling nest, he has Lings, but he needs Banelings. He needs Banelings to hold against this.
But he just does not have it. The power of stimmed Marines with Stutter Stab, he takes out so many Queens and forces the rest of them to almost waste their energy a little bit.
Ooh, he focuses down the Baneling nest, but what's important is that Peppy, he morphed in the Banelings. They are coming there on the way. How good are the splits for Azure?
Funnily enough, the Broodlings are actually acting like Zerglings for a little while, but the splits are good enough.
Ooh.
Sure, already dealing quite a bit of damage here, and he can keep going.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to stop. You know why? Because he killed the Baneling nest.
Exactly. The reinforcements are coming in. The Hellbats, a lot of them were taken out, but 2 more are still here. And they can really prevent the Lings from getting the surrounds that they need to get. There's still some transfuses available right now for Peppy, but not that many.
Mate, here we go. Azure is pushing on forward. There are only a couple of Queens. They do not have enough energy for transfuse. They will go down.
Yeah, they will. Just like so. There's nowhere to run for these drones. Well, actually, there's plenty of room to run, but they can't hide from the Hellbat Marine. Stim Marine timing coming out from Azure.
Exactly, the third base will go down. We do have a lot of Lings, but again, nothing but Lings. Only just now the Baneling nest starts after being sniped. Ay, ay, ay.
Ouch, that is painful. And Peppy, I like what he's doing right now. He's just trying to sneak out double expansions so he can have an economy when if he eventually stems the tide, but I'm not entirely convinced he will. Medevac is out of energy, so yeah, these Marines are definitely very, very vulnerable. But behind all of this, Azure is just building up for round 2. Plus 1 weapons is finishing up. He doesn't have mines or tanks, to be fair, but he has a ton more Marines, and I was going to say a couple of medevacs, but I don't believe he's reproduced them just yet.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like Azure probably could have kept the pressure up, right? But again, he doesn't know how late the Baneling nest was. You know, he doesn't know how vulnerable and how dead Peppy was. So instead, he regroups. You know, he is going to kind of consolidate his army, send it out across the map once again. This time, there will be a couple of Banelings to defend, but they are still slow.
That they are. They're only finishing up recently, and I mean, just having the Baneling nest sniped and delayed for so long cannot help at all. There's a lot of Lings! Almost enough to overwhelm the Hellbats, but not quite.
There we go.
In the end, though, Azure will have to back away.
Yeah, it was just enough there for Peppy. The Widowmines, honestly, they didn't get the most amazing shots. There was a lot of friendly fire there, or just going off on a couple of wings. So that was the best engagement that Peppy could have hoped for. He will also clean up these Widowmines before they get additional shots off. And Peppy, now he's got his third. He's working on his fourth. He still hasn't stabilized, but he's on his way.
Yeah, there's a lot of larva available for him right now. Azure, though, is starting to keep up the pressure. This is the Azure that we know and love, who will never hang back and wait for reinforcements and whatnot. Some very juicy connections, and even better snipes on the banelings.
That's
Queens are still...
Oh, gosh.
The Queens still have to be dealt with. Oh, that could have been disastrous for Azure.
Yeah.
But he hot picks up just before the banelings can crash.
Mate, that Widowmine, I gotta quickly click on it before it goes down. 14 kills. They got 14 lings. Jesus Christ, that was an insane Widowmine shot. Oh my god.
Aye.
And as you were saying, like, he just keeps reinforcing, keeps rallying across the map. Peppy, every single time he just barely holds on, but I feel like he's losing more every single time. And Azure, he just keeps it up. He's going for a bit of a ling run by. Nicely done, but can he hold at home?
Maybe. Ooh, decent connection on the banelings, but not quite enough. Every time Azure is on top of Peppy's face, let's not forget, he is forcing Peppy to not make drones and to continue to make more and more army. Behind all of this, Azure has been producing SCVs. He's up on a very comfortable 70 worker count on 3 bases. He can just continue to parade push until Peppy eventually goes bankrupt.
Yeah. Exactly. More and more queens go down because of that. There's nothing to really stop these medevacs from picking up these marines. The creep is receding as well on this third base. We do have another wave of banelings, thankfully, just in time here for Peppy.
But he does take the fight off of creep. There are still a lot of banelings alive, but the link count is starting to be dealt with. The banelings are quite able to connect, but they thin out the marine count enough for Peppy to have some room to breathe.
Ooh, that they do. Meanwhile, the mutas are coming at him for Peppy. I don't know, this is really what he needed right now. I mean, sure, they can harass across the map and they can cripple the economy of Azure, but I just worry about for his defenses at home.
Yeah, they're not looking too great right now, especially with the amount of Widowmines there. Oh, he is trying to bait them out, and is able to neutralize quite a number of them, and is even able to get some friendly fire as well. And Peppy holds.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of friendly fire there with those Widowmines. Peppy, he cleans everything up. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of being under pressure and under threat from the Terran player, he holds. He can drone up if he wants to. He can take more bases. He can tech up, throw down an infestation pit. Oh, Azure, now he has to back off.
The worker gap is starting to close slowly but surely. Azure finally realizes there's another base towards the north.
And not just one, mate. He sees the drone getting ready to take another with these scans. Sure, but this is what I'm worried about because, again, look at the supply. Look at the soup, man. It's he's got so much of it.
It's massively in the favor of Azure right now, but it does feel like he's trickling in a bit.
Yeah, definitely. These mutas, they got a lot of work to do. They need to try and keep this army busy, keep it at home. Oh god, a muta does go down. And unfortunately, the army's already here. It's across the map, mate.
Indeed, it is. Sure, setting up a bit of a foothold here. The Mutalists are trying to see if they can cut off reinforcements, but aren't able to find any just yet. Decent pick off of Peppy here, not losing too many banelings to take out a couple of Widowmines.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, we've reached a point where, unfortunately, Azure, he's maxed out. He's completely maxed out here. He's getting ready to pull the trigger. 3-3 isn't done quite yet, but I don't think he needs it. Meanwhile, Peppy's just trying to muster whatever army he can. He has a lot of Ling Bane, but can he get the connections he needs?
Almost! Is able to clean out a lot of bio, but even more comes in to reinforce. The Mutalist dealt with by the Thor.
Exactly. It's
Sure,
just
even
not...
top pick.
Yeah, there's just not enough, mate. GG. Well played gets called. And after a hard-fought qualifier, Azure, he does it!
He is your final player to qualify for the closed qualifiers of DreamHack Masters Fall Oceania/Rest of Asia. The only Terran player in the closed qualifier.
Yeah, I just realized that. GG, well played, Azure. It was a very hard-fought battle there. Peppy was a worthy opponent in the end, but Azure did come out on top there. Did qualify.
Indeed, he did. Peppy had, honestly, the run of his life. 2 qualifiers in a row. Such a shame he had to face Zane last night and Azure today. I hope he does take away from this, though, that he has definitely improved a lot since last season to even become a favorite now. He last night, looking at the bracket, nobody expected Peppy to be able to 2-0 run Muck, to be able to make it to the qualifying matches, 2 qualifiers in a row.
Yeah,
I hope to see him back in the DreamHack Winter qualifiers in even better form.
Yeah,
ideally.
Personally, I can't wait until ANZ Champ Season 2 because Peppy is one of those players who he's very different to some of the other players in our region. And what I mean by that is we talked about it on the last day of ANZ Champ Season 1, where there are players like Mighty Kiwi and Crimson and even Shays, Seether, who they don't practice too much. Some of them don't need to, like Seether, but others, like, they recently returned to the game and they're just putting in like the bare minimum. They're there to compete, they're there to be a part of the community, and that's all good and well. But Peppy, he did that, and he's also laddering very hard. He is taking practice seriously. He wants to improve. He wants to perform even better than last season. He has that drive. That's a drive that not a lot of people have, and that's why it's great to see him perform as well as he did today. Azure, likewise, also has that, and he's always on that grind. So that's why, I mean, it's well deserved that he does qualify today. But Peppy, I don't think we've seen his final form. I do think that he is going to improve as a player over the course of this year.
That I am going to have to agree with you on. In ideal world, both of these players make it through, but this isn't that timeline just yet. Azure, as you said, has been taking that grind at in a very similar fashion to Peppy, but has been doing that for much longer.
Oh, exactly. And with that, there we go. Wow, Soundo making some bank there with the predictions. It was heavily in Peppy's favor, but Azure was the one who came out on top.
And it was saving us from Zerg tyranny in the close qualifiers.
Exactly. And go on.
Yeah, with that, these are going to be our players returning tomorrow for that DreamHack Masters Fall Oceania Rest of Asia close qualifiers. The big 4 Zerg players, Demi, Ender, Mio, Micah, and Risky, and then the big 4 non-Zerg players, Pez, Starduck, Zane, and Azure.
Oh yeah, as you can see on the screen right now, I do apologize. I accidentally switched the wrong scene, so I may have blown out your ears there. I apologize.
I'm glad that it wasn't me blowing out people's ears for once.
It was.
What?
Not because of you. Not your fault. So I apologize for a moment there. Instead of switching to the scene, the overview scene, I switched to the break scene, which actually has a lot more gain. So I apologize. I'm sorry. But yes, as Yaku said, we do have our final players. A lot of Zergs, a lot of Protoss tomorrow. Only one Terran to stand against them all, mate. Azure, if you're a Terran out there, he needs your energy tomorrow. And that's when we will be back with Oceania close qualifier.
Indeed, it is in less than 24 hours. But do not fret at all, because in less than 40 minutes, we are going to be back with the first of our close qualifiers. Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, Mongolia, Japan. 8 players are going in. 4 players are advancing to the main event.
That they are. StarCraft just doesn't stop here. So the stream will go down. We will go on a 40-minute break, and then we will return with some more StarCraft. I understand if you've had your fill of StarCraft and if you're just here for Oceania and Southeast Asia, rest of Asia. But if you enjoyed our casting and if you want more of it, and if you're not satiated, you want some more StarCraft in your life, then again, to reiterate, we'll be back in 40 minutes with the very first closed qualifier for DreamHack Fall for Taiwan and Hong Kong. As a bit of a teaser for that, we will be covering our Hong Kong boys, Go-Go Joey and Beastlork, as they battle their way through some of these other Taiwanese players. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of other English streams to help cover that, or at least I hope so. So yeah, you'll have much to pick from there, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It really will. Thankfully, it is going to be a double elimination bracket as well. So even though there's one day of the close qualifiers here,
definitely,
we're gonna make sure it counts.
Definitely. And with that, I'm wrapping this up a little bit quickly, but again, massive shout out to the players who qualified: Azure, Starduck, and Zane through the open qualifiers. Massive shout out to Pez, aka Pezza Perry, in the chat, who did qualify through ANZ Champs. An amazing season for him. He's an amazing player. Recently announced a couple of hours ago while we were casting that he was picked up by a new team. Congratulations, Pez. He is now on Bizarre Gaming in their first foray into StarCraft.
That name.
It's great.
You need to pick up like Patience and Mio Micah next.
They do.
Soul, just to round off the races.
They need to be on brand, mate.
And Coffee.
Oh god. And with that, we are done for now. Yaku, do you have any closing words, mate?
35 minutes.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you guys in 35 minutes. I'm gonna get some food, mate. I'm starving. I
cannot promise that our brains will be intact when we come back.
I haven't eaten all day. I woke up at 6 a.m. to cast, mate. 6 a.m.
It's 6 p.m.
It's oh my god, it's been 14 hours. See you guys soon. Ciao.
Bella.